we're suddenly very careful about the way we say things and the way we frame ideas and the way we go about our lives when we suddenly have a child in our lives or someone that we want to protect in our lives, right? We suddenly, our whole rationale about life and going about things, it's turned on its head astronomically. And ultimately, right, the way we think about ourselves and the things that we want, we would want the same things for a future child, right? We would want it for our family members. So on that note, if we're able to conceptualize this and imagine and think and breathe the fact that we are going to be future parents in the future, a future father or a future mother, if we're able to conceptualize these things, the things that we are doing in this moment in time may not seem so important, or the things that we are angry about or sad about or frustrated about aren't really that upsetting. Paired with the fact that if one day you do have a child and you didn't go through anything, or not the fact that you didn't go through anything, but you don't have any stories to say, what is he going to think of you? What is she going to think of you? Your little boy or your little boy or your little girl, right? What is she going to think about you? Keep that in mind. Something I keep in mind too, like, I think my parents were pretty cool. I don't think to date I've done as many cool things as they did, but keep that in mind. As a letter to a future child, right? Like the things we talk about, the things we say, and how we present ourselves. Would you like your child to do the things that you did? And if you didn't, how are you gonna change the cycle? Right? These things are very important to understand. So when you're speaking to yourself, remember, you're talking to God too, but you're speaking to a future child, or to your future child, or both. You're speaking to yourself as a future child, and you're also speaking to your future child, which is interesting enough to conceptualize. So, like you would treat yourself, like you would treat your child, gently, with understanding, with high ambition, but also placing some fire under them when things don't go their way, right? That doesn't mean to completely lay down and give up and be very vulgar and lose the plot entirely regarding yourself physically, mentally, spiritually, financially, in your relationships. No. You wouldn't want that if that happened to your future child. So the same way you would love and care for and protect a future child, the same way you would admonish them when they did things incorrectly, or more so when they did things poorly, right? Because think about that. Because the letters to my future child, I, like myself, like yourself today, that's essentially the goal of everything that we're doing, right? To have a future child, to understand why we want to have a future child, and to be ready, like I said, physically, mentally, spiritually, financially, when we do have that future child, to have it in open arms. Because we're talking about life, we're talking about the most prized thing on the planet, in the universe even, maybe, right? So, to my future child, you're very awaited wherever you are, whether that's 20 years or 10 or maybe even 50, depending how technology goes. But rest assured that with enough praying and enough action and enough understanding, that day someday come, and that will be one of the happiest days of my life. Likewise, it will be, you wouldn't know it obviously, but it would be the happiest day of your life too. So keep keep that into consideration with all your actions, and remember, the same way you're stressing now, back on the the same way you're stressing now, the same way I'm stressing now, it's the same way our parents would stress, the same way our grandparents would stress, and the same way our ancestors would stress. Maybe tinkered with a few other survival situations and a few other stressful things that we unfortunately don't have to go through today. But if you ask them today, if they're still alive, the problems are still the same. Or sorry, not the problems are still the same, but rather their problems are not there anymore. Like, they don't even remember. They remember, yeah, but it's not like, well, for most people, they don't relive it every day, right? They don't think about that. They're just happy to get to the point where they have a family and they have a child and they have children. Finally, something to die for, something to live for, something to understand, something to analyze vehemently, something to feed, something to clothe. And finally, after years and years and years, finally something that gets your heart going again. So remember, and myself too, to